How are you? Glad to see you. Come on in.
Hi, I'm Phil Silver. Yes, thank you. That's a nice beginning. Nice to be back again for the Pontiac people, and isn't this a wonderful car? Say, I hope the show is good tonight, because I have a hunch if it isn't, they'll take the car back. And I've grown to love it. Look what they did for me. Listen to this horn. That's great. It's me. They've captured the real me. Well, shall we get on with it? On with the wind. No. On with the place. What am I saying? On with the show.
The year is 1959. A new TV program, The Twilight Zone, is on the air. Musicians Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper are killed in a plane crash. In Cuba, Fidel Castro seizes power in a revolutionary coup. Toy store shelves are featuring the very first Barbie dolls. In movie news, Some Like It Hot is nominated for 6 Academy Awards.
I'm terribly sorry.
And the Dodgers defeat the Chicago White Sox to bring Los Angeles its first ever World Series championship. But more important than any of these is the event that took place on June 28, 1959, at the Beverly Vista Presbyterian Church in Beverly Hills, California. On this day, Roma Gaines Burdett and Thomas Logan Gibson exchanged wedding vows and began their 50-year journey together. But what brought Tom and Roma together in the first place? How did they meet? What exactly are their stories? Let's go way back and find out.
Hello again, Peabody here. Standing over by the Wayback Machine is my pet boy, Sherman.
The Wayback's all warmed up, Mr. Peabody.
The Wayback Machine, my incomparable invention for traveling through time. No sooner was the Wayback Machine set into motion than Sherman and I were catapulted back into history.
Just 5 months after the stock market crash of 1929, Thomas Logan Gibson was born in this house on a small family farm in Hall County, Nebraska. The date was March 29, 1930. Tom was the 8th and final child born to James and Lena Gibson. The following year, when Tom was 15 months old, his mother passed away. Tom's father fell into a terrible depression and became unable to care for his children and the family farm. Those siblings who were too young to care for themselves were taken in by other family members. Tom was raised by his Aunt Nita and her husband, George Kirk. George was an engineer for a company that operated diamond mines in the Belgian Congo of Africa. In 1933, George was sent to Africa for a 2.5-year work term. Tom, who was 3 years old at the time, and his Aunt Nita accompanied George to the Belgian Congo. There they lived at Sikapa, a diamond center located where the Kasai and Sikapa rivers join together. At the diamond center, workers picked diamonds from gravel that was sent from the surrounding mines. Tom would stay in the Congo with George and Nita until he was 5 years old.
California, here I come.
Half a world away, in Los Angeles, California, Roma Gaines Burdett was born on April 3, 1935. Roma was the only child born to Ruth and Edward Burdett. When Roma was 15 months old, her father left on a business trip and never returned. Apparently, he ran away with his secretary, leaving Roma and her mother to fend for themselves. In 1939, George, Nita, and Tom once again set out for the Belgian Congo, where they were to live for another 2.5 years. On the voyage to Africa, Tom celebrated his 9th birthday aboard ship. Back in Los Angeles, with the departure of her father, Roma and her mother moved from their house to an apartment, where at night they would sleep in the kitchen so they could rent out the bedrooms to earn extra money. Roma's mother also began working as a seamstress, making gowns for society matrons and costumes for 20th Century Fox movie studios.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
At the time of the attack on Pearl Harbor, George Kirk only had 6 months left on his work term before returning to the States, but decided it would be safer to stay in Africa during the war. George, Nita, and Tom would stay on in Africa for an additional 4 years. While the attack on Pearl Harbor happened thousands of miles away from Africa, for Tom it hit very close to home. Tom's older brother, Wes, was stationed aboard the battleship Tennessee in Pearl Harbor. While the Tennessee sustained heavy damage, Wes, luckily, was unharmed. In Los Angeles, Roma and her mother had a bit of a war scare themselves. At 2:25 a.m. on the 25th of February, 1942, air raid sirens rang out throughout the city. An unidentified flying object was seen in the air over Los Angeles, and anti-aircraft guns began firing into the sky. Roma, who was 6 years old, remembers seeing the artillery explosions in the early morning sky. And although many people described the mysterious enemy aircraft, the Secretary of the Navy said it was nothing more than a false alarm caused by war jitters.
Gonna take a sentimental journey.
In 1945, at the age of 15, Tom left Africa and returned to Hastings, Nebraska. Tom lived at his grandparents' home and attended Hastings High School for the next 3 years as George and Nita moved west to California. Back in Los Angeles, Roma's mother Ruth suffered a nervous breakdown and was not expected to live, and Roma and her mother moved back to Massachusetts, where they had family. Ruth's condition improved, however, and after spending a summer in Florida, Roma and her mother moved back to California. Upon graduating high school in 1948, Tom also moved to California, joining George and Nita at their home in Eagle Rock.
We leave at 7.